everyone, and welcome to episode 91 of the Social Liability Podcast, the podcast where we discuss those folks in our lives that violate the social contracts that we all agree to live by. I am your host, the Raspberries, with my co-host, the Buck, giving you the new and interesting stories from the far reaches of the internet. Now, if you're watching this in our video format, you may notice a few things. One, I'm wearing different clothes than I will be in the second half of the show. Two, there's people walking in the background of Buck's video. This is reason why. Because for some stupid reason, my computer, for the first time ever in 91 episodes, has decided to corrupt a file. Now, it was technically my fault that it happened. I hit a button that I shouldn't have. It was an accident. But we lost half an episode. So we are actually re-recording this. So some of our normal vigor and excitement may be lost. And I'm hoping not, because I've actually forgotten about the articles. Best part about having mental disorders like I have, you can forget things and it can work out in your favor. Well, in this particular instance, it does. But, Buck, we're doing this on a Tuesday afternoon, so we can release this for a Wednesday morning episode. Fun stuff, right? Fun stuff trying to make content.
You know, we're in it for you guys, man. That's what it's all about.
Well,
you know, time to roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Let's do this once again. Our first story comes from the RichmondRegister.com. Man tries to evade arrest with stolen identity, which also had active warrants. According to police reports, a Berea, I still can't pronounce it, Berea, with active warrants tried to evade arrest on Monday by giving deputies a different social security number. Turns out the person also had warrants, and the man was arrested anyway. Adam Castle was arrested on January 31st and charged with giving an officer a false identifying information, failure to appear in court, second-degree escape, tampering with a prisoner monitoring device, and theft of another's identity without consent. Let me just say that before we go any further, that is the weirdest name for a charge I've ever seen. I've heard of identity theft. I've heard of theft by unlawful taking, and other things of that nature. And I can kind of quantify in my head why they make sense the way they're worded, but theft of another person's identity without consent. How can one steal an identity with consent? Wouldn't it just be assuming an identity?
I can't wrap my mind around that particular one either, man. That's an anomaly to me all day long. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
We're going to need Squatch to weigh in on that one. But moving on January 31st, a deputy from the Madison County Sheriff's Office observed a vehicle slowly pull around the back of the Richmond Athletic Club. An arrest citation claims the vehicle began to speed when the deputy attempted to catch up with it. The vehicle parked in front of the speedway on Eastern Bypass, and two males got out of the car and went into the speedway. For those who are not aware, Speedway is a chain for gas stations. It's a chain of gas stations. One of whom was allegedly the man later identified as Adam Castle. The deputy was able to get both men back into the vehicle and asked Castle for his identity. Castle allegedly provided the social security number of someone with the last name Perkins, though text in the citation said Castle told deputies his name was Stephen Clemens. It turned out a subject named Stephen Clemens also had a warrant for his arrest, which Castle was then arrested for. According to the citation, Castle took a deep breath and told the arresting deputy, quote, he was going to shoot him straight. On the way to the Madison County Detention Center, Castle allegedly stated he had given the wrong social security number in order to get out of an arrest and advised his name was not Clemens but Adam Castle, and that he had warrants for escape and failing to appear in court. Dispatch verified this information, and Castle's identity was checked. Castle had active warrants stemming from an incident in June of 2021 on charges of first-degree trafficking of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and being a persistent felon offender. Castle was charged and lodged at the Madison County Detention Center. The Register collects and publishes police records, blah, 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 blah. So I just want to say this. I love the fact that we have to be the kinder, gentler society, and we can no longer refer to someone as an inmate or a convict. They have to be called a resident, and they're not in jail or they're incarcerated. They're lodged at the Madison County Detention Center.
Now,
Go on.
See, what I want to know, first off, what really just is the social security number that he gave. Okay. Did he just randomly just like fucking give nine digits to the cop and was like, all right,
Roll the
or
dice.
like is that what happened? And did he just incredibly like have that shitty fucking luck? Or did he purchase this social security number and really get a shitty deal?
I want a
That's what I
refund.
like. I really like just want to know that. And
Well,
second off,
the social security number he
now
gave.
wait.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. The social security number he gave and the name were not the same. The name for the social security number was different than the name he gave. So we had 3 different names
Oh,
floating.
yeah. Okay. So definitely was grabbing at straws.
Yeah.
But either way, what were the other dude's charges that made him automatically be like, nope,
Nope.
nope, nope. Whatever that guy had, he's like, no, I am an escapee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Trafficking.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
me.
yeah.
That's me all day. Yep.
Nope.
Yep. Yep.
That's raises his hand, steps forward, like he's all hands on deck. Whatever this other dude had, man, it must have been really gnarly.
Indeed. Well, and here's the other thing, and I want to point this out, 'cause I wish we had more context for a lot of these stories, because if just from the, without having the affidavit of probable cause in front of me, but just from going off what they're putting in here, why did he give them any information? He wasn't suspected of a crime. From my, best I can understand from the article, he was a passenger in the vehicle. He didn't have to ID. He could have said kick rocks. But instead, this dumb shit decided he was just going to try to make some stuff up and get out of it. And he chose poorly.
Yeah, he really did. But either way, man, what are we gonna give this asshole, man? What are we gonna give this guy?
I'm going to give him a 3.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna go down to a 2.5.
Well,
I'm not.
Well,
Either
our
way.
next story comes from Newsweek.com. January 6th suspect asks judge for, quote, right to defend himself from prison guards. A suspect in the January 6th Capitol riot, accused of assaulting officers in the attack, asked a federal judge for permission to defend himself against prison guards at a status hearing for his case. In a tense exchange in court Thursday, Josh Kenyon, 34, was arrested in Reno, Nevada, asked Judge Carl Nichols to acknowledge he has the right to defend himself if corrections officers try to assault him. Before his comment, Nichols warned Kenyon to consult his attorney before speaking. He said, and I quote, I have a high enough IQ range not to screw up there, boss. Nichols said that he would not be making any finding one way or another about his right to defend himself while incarcerated. At the end of the meeting, Nichols asked if Kenyon had any other issues to raise, and he said, I quote, my wife and children are homeless on the street. Have a wonderful day. Not sure what that has to do with anything, but here we go. U.S. Attorney in the Justice Department charged Kenyon with unlawful entry of the Capitol and with assaulting a police officer. Kenyon was assaulted several officers with a table leg and with a protruding nail. FBI officials added that on January 6th, Kenyon wore a red Make America Great Again cap and was dressed as Jack Skellington, a character from the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas. He allegedly assaulted officers with multiple items and threw a large plastic pylon at others. In addition to trying to break a window, court documents allege he was in the Capitol for about 25 minutes near a Senate wing door. He then joined a crowd outside the lower West Terrace, according to court documents. Kenyon is number 94 in the Seeking Information photos posted by the FBI. Newsweek reached out to Kenyon's lawyer but did not receive a response in time for publication. Police said Kenyon was arrested on December 1st, 2021 in Reno, Nevada when Washoe County Sheriff's Office deputies found his wife along with 2 children in an unheated travel trailer in the foothills of the mountains. While deputies spoke with his wife, Kenyon drove up to the trailer in a Ford Crown Victoria and told deputies his wife would be leaving soon. The deputies ran a check on the Ford's license plates and discovered Kenyon was wanted. Kenyon and his wife were both arrested on charges of child endangerment, according to KOLO. More than 725 people have been arrested in nearly all 50 states in cases linked to the attack on the Capitol. The FBI says 165 have pled guilty to federal charges, including 22 felony offenses. The FBI investigation is ongoing. Fun stuff.
Yeah, what defending yourself against corrections officers?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. Does it
Come on,
happen?
man.
Does it happen? Yes, it happens. Have I ever seen it happen? Not premeditated. I've seen use of forces go a little too far, and but never have I seen like a bunch of officers get together and say, "We're gonna whip his ass." I've seen people get set up for an ass whooping, but I've never seen them do it themselves. How about you, Buck?
I, I'm thinking to myself that this guy watches too much fucking TV.
Exactly. Yeah, this guy.
Like
This
that's
guy's like watching Sons of Anarchy and shit, where the guards are coming in and going, "All right, boy,
like
you're gonna toe the line today."
like let me just inform you that the standard corrections officer, like regalia is going to be a uniform with a quality embroidered patch. Okay? And it's embroidered because we're not going to give anybody, the opportunity to take a pin off of our chests. Okay? So, okay, you're looking at somebody coming at you in the equivalent of a mall cop uniform. All right?
Not even, because the mall cops
Yeah,
usually carry OC, and we didn't even have that.
right. No, and that's the thing. Is like other than that, we have a set of handcuffs, a radio, a
and if
seatbelt cutter tool.
and if you were feeling particularly froggy that day, you might have a mag light.
Yeah.
It
So
was it was
I don't
it was
know.
I had a little light about the size of, I don't know, about not even the length of a pen, about the size of like a multi tool. And that thing was brighter than a sun. I kept that thing on my belt when I actually had to look in things. But if I felt like something might go down, I had a D-ring flashlight holder on my belt, and I put that big 4-cell mag light on there, just because that was going to be my wampum stick if I needed it. But reality is, most COs, I mean, some places do have things where they carry OC and tasers, but for the most part, most facilities, they do not have that, because that's a weapon that can be taken away. And especially when you're in a facility
Right.
where you are in a room alone with between 5 and 110 inmates by yourself. By yourself. You know, you would think I wouldn't walk in there without an assault rifle, but the reality is that's just something all those people, they rush you, they're going to get it. So
Right.
if you're
And
walking in there
and
walking like Billy Badass, going to try to whoop someone's ass, you're going to be the one catching the ass whooping. I'm sorry to tell you.
yeah, I was gonna make that point, man. What math magician would take the odds of like there's not gonna be a situation where the dude needs to defend himself against correctional staff. There just isn't.
Other inmates? Yeah, maybe.
That that's where you may run into problems. But typically excessive use of force is about as far as it would go. And trust me, if you're involved in a use of force and you're an inmate, you are not defending yourself.
No.
You just you just and because that's where math goes against you.
Yes,
Like
those things are entirely thought out. We actually draw up a plan on a board. It looks like we're getting
right.
ready for game day.
And just like, and I'm not saying that like corrections officers are Chuck Norris or anything like that, but I'm saying that there's anywhere between 6 and however many can run there that you have to fight against. You're not going to win.
Yeah.
Like there's no defending yourself against
There's
that.
really not. There's
So
really not. And
like what are you going to do? And the guy in the very front of the line, the very very front of the line is your shield guy. Go ahead and have fun defending yourself against that. There's no defense against it. It's a wall running at you.
and you know what the best thing about my wall is? It had an E-bit on the inside, an electrical taser kind of
Yeah.
thing. So but
Right.
that all being said, do you remember, and this was my favorite, because there's always rumors about COs, and I had some of the best rumors ever. Do you remember when I got a blue star on my uniform? It coincided with an event that occurred, not for the reason that I got that blue star on my uniform. Do you remember that?
You're gonna have to jog my memory, but I
Okay.
probably do.
So I'm not going to mention any names in regards to why I really got the blue star, but there was an officer that was having a heart attack, and I got a commendation
I
for.
do remember now.
Okay,
I remember.
so I
I
got,
remember.
but it took them months to process it, and they gave it to me, and they said, you got to wear this on your uniform. I'm like, ah, shit, another freaking pin. Okay, so I pin it on. Well, I pinned it on about 3 days after an inmate took a wild haymaker punch at me. And so much so that, I mean, he spun his ass around. I snatched him up. I did a hip toss. He thumped the ground, and I drug him off the unit by one hand. The guy was a pussy. Now, this same inmate decided he was going to call the Pennsylvania State Police and file charges on me for excessive force, saying that I went in there. It wasn't even excessive force. I'm sorry. It was assault. He was assault under the color of authority is what he was claiming. And he actually wanted to take this damn thing to court. I had a freaking state police detectives at my door, and we were. I called an attorney and said, "Nah, fuck that noise. We're doing this the hard way. If you're gonna come coming at me." So, but regardless, it ended up getting dropped. Obviously, they never pursued charges on it. But that being said, everyone thought that I got that star on my shirt for kicking his ass. So in the additional 4 years I was there after that, I never had an inmate swing on me again. I loved it.
Hey, you know what? For me, like my story was 2 weeks after I had started. Somebody put me in a headlock and I bit his forearm. And
Fair
all
enough.
of a sudden after that, I bit his forearm, and after that, all of a sudden, I'm just like crazy and a psycho when I get angry, and I was just like, yeah, I'll roll with that. I'm fine. I'm fine with that, but I never get angry. I didn't walk around like that. Like you were like you were by the book. You were very by the book.
Well, the
Me,
best part was at the time I was like, when I first started, I was like 22 years old. I was young, and I looked like I just got in the military. Figure out why. So everyone just assumed that I was older. They all thought I was in my mid 30s, and they also had the rumors are great. Rumors can be your best friend because people thought that I was some kind of spook. Now, yes, I didn't say no, I wasn't, but I never told them that I was either. So
I was too casual to have any rumors or anything like that follow me around. I bit a guy. People knew that I had a personal space problem, but other than that, I love to exploit me a loophole. Like I in 7 years of working there, I maybe wrote less than 5 misconduct reports.
wow.
And it's
I've
because
done more than that in a day.
I know you have. I know you have, but you were on the CERT team, man.
Yeah.
Like you were the CERT team. I was the hostage negotiations team. Like I liked to just I
I didn't like
actually,
writing them. I didn't like hurting.
You know what,
I did not
though?
like hurting people. I didn't like that at all. I didn't enjoy it one bit.
I'm dancing around saying this as if like I'm gonna be applying for another job in the future. No, bitches, that ship has sailed. I'm fucking retired. I actually conducted myself in a day at that prison to do the least amount of work that I would have to. And Jesus Christmas, man, I write really slow. Like, I don't want to bring ink and paper into it. I used to get overtime when I have to write an incident report. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, Lynch, just make it one paragraph. I'm like, well, it's still going to take me a half hour.
Whereas
Like,
I was writing War and Peace because
yeah.
I'd be if you're gonna make me go to the point where I have to put pen to paper, I'm not gonna lose.
Oh, that was me too, man. If I had to bring ink and paper into it, it stuck. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's because I graduated high school and I like paid attention in English class.
I used to teach
A lot of our
report writing.
a lot of our coworkers were not so eloquent with the pen and paper, if you catch my drift.
This is true.
You know, we didn't work with Mark Twain. Like, it was we actually, and you say you taught report writing classes as if like it's some esteemed prestigious thing, and it's fucking not.
It's
Like,
not.
let's just I'm going to call a spade here, okay? He taught report writing classes to a bunch of people who at the time got laid off from a welding factory. And when you had to explain to them that they had to write more down on a piece of paper than when they got there, when they were leaving, and what they wanted for fucking lunch, like, you just saw like stars in some of these people's faces. Like, you're not dealing with the creme de la creme. You're not skimming the top off the fucking barrel here.
Yeah. I just
You're
want to point
dealing with
out
like,
in that welding group that came in, one of them was completely and utterly, totally illiterate. Did not know how to write his own name. He actually made a mark when he signed anything. And I decided to move on in my career shortly after he became sergeant. Just saying.
yeah. I mean, like, you're not dealing with the creme de la creme.
Mm-mm.
And so a guy going in and telling a judge that he wants him to sign off on defending himself against correction staff is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
It's absolutely absurd.
Corrections officers are, amongst things, sometimes sadistic because they're, I'm going to be a cop. Bullshit. You're a fucking corrections officer. It's not.
Yeah,
Don't
man,
don't
you're
don't
you're
use the
not a
word
cop.
don't.
You're a CO.
Don't. You're
You're
a
a CO
turnkey.
without the P.
You're a turnkey. You're a cop without a P, you jackass. So now that does not mean it's not a job that doesn't deserve respect. It really truly does. But it's the requirements for it typically are a pulse. And the people that are getting that job are typically some of the laziest motherfuckers you're ever going to meet in your life. And they don't want to do reports. They don't want to have to deal with all that crap. They don't want to get covered in your nasty. They don't want to get MRSA. So they're just, goddamn, dude. If you catch an ass whooping from a CO, you had it coming.
Yeah, you really fucked up. I mean, whatever. I mean, dude's a fucking dick. And I'm giving him a 4. I'm giving him a 4.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to give
You
him,
know,
just because of the kind of shit stick that he is, I'll give him a 4 for this particular interaction. But given the charges that he's up against, now he hasn't been convicted yet, I'll give him that. But let's just take those out of the equation and go with the child endangerment. Fuck him, he gets a 5.
oh well, factoring that in there, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.